Hi, I'm Bob Hunter, tools editor for Wood Magazine. If you're like me, you like to sharpen your hand tools with water stones. And I've got a nice kit that I use that has 3 stones in it so that I can sharpen my chisels and my plane irons and all that. It's a nice setup. Let me show you just briefly what that is. It's a stone kit from Norton with 3 stones, and it's kind of like a tackle box that has 3 stones that rotate on a spit. While you're using the one on top, the 2 down below are soaking for the next operation so that it's progressive grits as you just roll it over, move to the next one. I like to use a honing guide to hold my chisel and plane irons at the correct bevel angle. So what I do is put a towel down, something to hold it in place so I don't get any moisture on my workbench top. Then I just take my chisel and just work it back and forth until I've got the sharpness that I want. But one of the problems with sharpening in this method is that the chisel generally will stay in the middle of the stone. You can't very well get out on the edges because it could fall off the edge or it won't sharpen evenly, and some of them have wheels that will drop off the edge. So you pretty much have to keep the wheels on the stone, which means that this is going to be centered. Well, over time it's going to wear more in the center of the stone, so it's going to dish it out a little bit like that. And then what happens is that's going to reflect that onto your cutting tool. So you're going to get a little bit of that reverse camber on there from the stone. So what you have to do every so often is flatten your water stones. And one of the great things that I like to use, that came with this kit, but Norton also sells it individually for about $25. This is called a flattening plate. It's made of a harder stone. It's got grooves cut in here so that when you rub it across the stone, it'll remove the material, and then it puts it into these little channels so that it will whisk it away from the stone. So the best way to do that is just get a little water on the stone, get it wet, and then just rub it back and forth. Stop working when you can see that the gray marks that were there from your chisel sharpening, when they're gone, you know that you're flat. Then you're done, you're ready to go. Now go back to it, you can rinse this off a little bit, go right back to sharpening, and you're good to go. Now if you don't have one of these Norton flattening plates, or any other type of flattening plate for that matter, there is another method that you can do. What I've got here is a piece of float glass, 1/2-inch thick float glass. You can get this at any glass supplier. It's just got some self-adhesive wet dry sandpaper on it. Usually I try to get like 120 grit and 220 grit, put a couple on there, and then you can flatten your stones on this. If you can't find wet dry paper that's self-adhesive, you can just use regular roll sandpaper, but attach it to the back with some heavy stick tape, something that'll just hold it, wrap it around the edges. That'll grip it pretty good because you're going to have to use water on this. So lay your float glass down, start with your more aggressive. This is my 120 grit. Here's my stone. You can see it's been tracked here in the middle with a chisel where we were sharpening it. So I want to flatten it. I want to put it down and rub it back and forth on the sandpaper, but I do have to have a lubricant, so I need a little bit of water. So just put some water on there. And then just rub it back and forth. Again, you just want to look until all the discoloration is gone. That tells you that the flat part, or that the middle part is flattened. You need just a little bit more. And I'd say we've got it. So now that 120 grit has left us with just a little bit of coarse scratches on there. It's flat now, but it needs to be just smoothed a little bit. So that's why we go to the 220 grit. Or you could use 320, anything, something's fine, just something to get rid of those coarse scratches. Put a little water on there. Same side now. You won't need near as many strokes on this side. All you're looking to do is just get rid of those coarse strokes, and that stone is ready to go. With these water stones, you saw that I could flatten them pretty quickly because I didn't let them get too dished. If you wait too long, like I said, you'll get your tools out of shape. So just do this pretty frequently. I do it about every 4 or 5 sharpenings just to be sure that I'm getting it flat. The water stones do remove quickly. Oil stones, you can use the same techniques. It just takes a little bit longer because they're quite a bit harder, so you'll have to work it harder on the actual abrasive. But it will get there. The upside to that is that the oil stones won't dish out as quickly as a water stone.